Okay, so wow, you guys have sent in some really fascinating excerpts for this deep dive. Ancient cosmology, secret doctrines. This looks intense. I think we're going to need some help unpacking all of this.
Indeed. It seems we're diving into some pretty esoteric teachings about the evolution of the cosmos and humanity. The primary source you shared is the Secret Doctrine, which is known for clashing with conventional science and embracing esotericism.
The secret doctrine. Yeah, it's not exactly light reading. We're talking lost continents, giant races, and even sweat-born humans. From what I'm seeing, this is going to challenge some conventional thinking. Where do we even begin?
Well, the Secret Doctrine attempts to provide a complete and alternative explanation for the origins and evolution of the universe and mankind. It draws on ancient Eastern wisdom, but definitely challenges established scientific and religious views.
Okay. All right, let's start with the cosmology then.
Yeah.
What kind of universe are we even dealing with here?
It all begins with a fundamental principle, the one absolute unknowable reality.
Occult?
Think of it as the ultimate source of everything, completely beyond human comprehension.
All right.
From this one, everything emanates. Gods, monads, atoms, everything is interconnected like reflections in a mirror.
So this whole idea of emanation, it's like those Russian nesting dolls, you know?
Yeah.
The one is the biggest doll, and inside are smaller and smaller dolls, all ultimately part of that original one.
That's a great analogy. And within this system, there's no single creator God, as many religions teach. Instead, it's all about cyclical creation and destruction, constantly repeating in grand cycles of activity called manvantaras and periods of rest called pralayas.
So instead of a universe that started with a big bang and is expanding into nothingness, this is more like a cosmic heartbeat, constantly pulsing with creation and destruction. Does that sound about right?
Exactly. And within this universe, there are forces at work shaping and energizing everything. The logo, sometimes called a word, represents the creative force, the blueprint of the universe. Then there's Fohat, a dynamic energizing principle, the force that sets everything in motion and gives it form. If we think of the universe as a grand symphony, the logos would be the composer, creating the score, while Fohat is the conductor, bringing the music to life.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get a sense of how this cosmology works, but how does human evolution fit into this cyclical emanation-based universe? You mentioned root races earlier. Can you tell me more about those?
Root races are the 7 successive stages of human development, each with its own unique characteristics and purpose. Think of it as a gradual unfolding of consciousness from ethereal beings to the intellectual humans of today, with future races potentially achieving even higher levels of spiritual awareness. And this entire system mirrors the 7-fold structure found throughout the universe.
Okay.
For example, we have 7 planets, 7 rounds of human evolution, 7 principles in man.
7 planets? I thought there were 8.
Remember, the Secret Doctrine was written in the late 19th century. Pluto wasn't discovered until 1930.
Ah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's start with the first root race. They were ethereal beings practically invisible to us, right? What else does the Secret Doctrine say about them?
They were said to be born from the mind-born suns. Try to imagine them more like energy forms existing on a plane of existence that we can barely perceive. They reproduced by a process of division, almost like cell division, but on a much grander scale.
No moms and dads for the first root race, just dividing like cells.
That's what the Secret Doctrine suggests. They were more like sparks of consciousness gradually taking form and developing.
And then we have the second root race, the sweat-born. This sounds incredibly strange to modern ears. How did this even work?
Imagine a process of budding, where a new being emerges from the parent being. The Secret Doctrine describes it as a kind of condensation of ethereal matter, almost like sweat forming into a new being. Remember, these early races were far less material than we are.
This whole idea of the sweat-born race, it's so different from how we understand reproduction today. How do you make sense of this concept?
It's important to remember that the Secret Doctrine often uses symbolic language to describe concepts that are difficult to grasp from our current perspective. It challenges us to expand our understanding of what's possible.
Okay, so things start to get a bit more human with the third root race. They were still androgynous at first, but eventually they separated into male and female. This theme of androgynous beings separating into sexes actually pops up in many ancient myths across different cultures. It's like a universal archetype. What triggered this separation according to the Secret Doctrine?
It was linked to the development of manas, the thinking principle in early humans. As their minds developed, so did their sense of individuality and self-awareness, ultimately leading to the separation of sexes.
So consciousness plays a key role in this evolutionary process. It's not just about physical changes, but a much grander process of spiritual and mental development.
Exactly. Each root race represents a different stage in this unfolding with its own challenges and triumphs. And speaking of challenges, The third root race wasn't immune to them. The Secret Doctrine speaks about the fall of the third race, where the mindless men mated with animals.
That's a pretty heavy concept. What does the Secret Doctrine say about the consequences of this?
It's depicted as a deviation from the intended path of evolution. Think of it like a cosmic wrong turn that led to a delay in the development of true humanity. It's not necessarily seen as a sin in the moral sense, but more like a mistake, a mixing of different evolutionary streams.
And this brings us to the fourth root race. The Atlanteans, those infamous giants, they sound like they were pretty advanced, possessing great knowledge and power. What led to their downfall?
According to the Secret Doctrine, the Atlanteans became corrupted by their own desires and ambitions. They abused their powers, leading to wars and destruction. Think of the Atlantis myth. We all know a technologically advanced civilization destroyed by its own hubris. It serves as a powerful reminder that even advanced civilizations are not immune to the consequences of their actions. You could even say it's a cautionary tale for our own times, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. It really makes you think about the responsibility that comes with knowledge and power.
And then, of course, there's the Great Flood, which wiped out the Atlanteans.
Was this seen as a karmic consequence? Karma playing out on a massive scale?
Yes. The cataclysms that destroyed Atlantis are depicted as a direct result of their actions.
So we've seen these earlier races rise and fall, and now we arrive at our own fifth root race. Where do we fit into this grand cosmic scheme?
The fifth root race, which is us, is said to be focused on the development of intellect and reason. We're the thinking race, striving to understand the world through science and logic.
I can see how this cyclical view of time challenges the linear progress narrative that's dominant in Western thought. But isn't there a danger of becoming fatalistic if we believe everything just repeats endlessly?
That's an important question to consider. While the Secret Doctrine emphasizes the cyclical nature of existence, it also highlights the importance of free will and the evolution of consciousness. It suggests that even though history may repeat itself in certain ways, we have the capacity to learn from the past and make different choices.
Okay, that's a bit reassuring. But if we're moving away from the more intuitive and spiritual nature of the earlier races, wouldn't that be a step backward in our evolution?
Not necessarily. Remember, each root race has its own unique purpose and contribution to the overall evolution of humanity. Our focus on intellect and reason has led to incredible advancements in science, technology, and our understanding of the world. But it's also important to remember that we're not just rational beings. We're also spiritual beings. And perhaps the challenge for the fifth root race is to find a way to integrate these two aspects of ourselves.
I'm still processing all this information about root races and cycles of creation. It really makes you question our place in the grand scheme of things, doesn't it? Before we go any further, I think we need to take a deeper look at the more esoteric and mysterious aspects of the Secret Doctrine, things like the astrolight karma and secret societies. What do you say we tackled those in the next part of our deep dive?
Welcome back. Ready to unravel some of the mysteries hidden within the Secret Doctrine?
Absolutely. The astrolight karma, secret societies. This is the stuff that really piqued my curiosity. Let's dive right in.
All right, let's start with the astral light. It's described as a subtle realm of energies, a source of both wisdom and deception. Imagine it as a vast, invisible ocean of thoughts, emotions, and memories, almost like a cosmic library containing all knowledge.
So it's like a cosmic hard drive. You can access any information you want, but you have to be careful what you download.
That's a good way to put it. The astral light is a living, dynamic realm constantly in flux. It influences our thoughts, feelings, and even our physical reality. And like any powerful force, it requires careful navigation.
What do you mean by careful navigation? What are the dangers?
Think of the astral light as a mirror, reflecting our own inner state. If we approach it with impure motives or a clouded mind, we're likely to encounter distorted reflections, illusions, and even negative entities.
So it's not for the faint of heart. It requires a certain level of spiritual maturity, wouldn't you say?
Precisely. The Secret Doctrine emphasizes the importance of purity of thought and intention when dealing with the astral light. It's not a playground for the curious. It's a realm that demands respect and discernment.
Now, what about those sons of wisdom, the Dian Chohans? Who are they and how do they fit into this picture?
These are highly evolved beings who oversee the evolution of humanity. They're the guardians of the secret knowledge, guiding and inspiring those who are ready to receive it. Think of them as the wise elders, the spiritual mentors of humanity.
So they're like the gatekeepers of the astrolight, making sure the knowledge doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
You can see it that way. They act as intermediaries between the higher realms of consciousness and the human realm, ensuring that the teachings are transmitted safely and responsibly.
And the Secret Doctrine claims to be a compilation of ancient wisdom revealed by these hidden masters, right?
That's what the text suggests. It presents itself as a bridge between the hidden world of esoteric knowledge and the world of ordinary human experience.
That makes sense. Now, let's shift gears and talk about karma, this law of cause and effect. How does it play out in the Secret Doctrine?
Karma is woven throughout the text. Every action, thought, and intention creates ripples in the astral light, shaping our future experiences and even our future incarnations. It's not simply about punishment or reward, it's about learning and growth through experience.
So we're constantly creating our own reality, both individually and collectively.
Precisely, the Secret Doctrine emphasizes that we're not just puppets of fate. We have free will, and with that comes responsibility for the choices we make.
If we take all of this at face value, it really puts a whole new spin on personal responsibility. It's not just about the here and now, it's about the consequences that ripple through time and across lifetimes. But this whole idea of secret knowledge being preserved in esoteric traditions and secret societies, it's fascinating and a little bit mysterious. Why the secrecy? Is it just to create an air of exclusivity?
The Secret Doctrine suggests that this knowledge is too powerful and dangerous to be given to those who are not ready for it. It's not about elitism, it's about safeguarding the teachings from misuse.
So it's more about protecting humanity from itself than creating an exclusive club. You know, when we talk about esoteric teachings and secret societies, it's easy to get caught up in the mystery and intrigue. But what does this all mean for the average person, for our listener who's trying to make sense of their own life? How can we apply these concepts in a practical way?
That's a great question. I think one of the most important takeaways from the Secret Doctrine is the idea that we are all part of a much larger and more interconnected web of existence than we typically realize. Our actions have consequences that extend far beyond our immediate sphere of influence, and we have the potential to access a wisdom that goes far beyond the limitations of our rational minds.
So it's about recognizing our interconnectedness and taking responsibility for our choices, knowing that our actions have far-reaching consequences.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a deeper awareness of ourselves, our place in the cosmos, and our responsibility to each other and the planet.
This has been mind-blowing. The Secret Doctrine doesn't just offer a cosmology and a theory of human evolution, it also provides a framework for understanding the hidden forces at play in our lives and the universe. But what about the 6th and 7th root races? Any clues about what's in store for humanity?
The Secret Doctrine is more cryptic about these future races. The 6th root race is hinted at as being more spiritually developed, a return to a more intuitive and compassionate way of being. The 7th root race is shrouded in even more mystery, suggesting a final culmination of human evolution, a merging of spirit and matter.
So a kind of return to the source, the one, but with all the wisdom and experience gained through the cycles of evolution.
That's one interpretation. But I think it's important to remember that the Secret Doctrine is not meant to be a blueprint for the future or a definitive guide to spiritual enlightenment. It's more like a collection of ancient myths, symbols, and teachings designed to spark our imagination and invite us to explore the deeper mysteries of existence.
It's definitely sparked our imaginations. And speaking of mysteries, we haven't even touched on the more controversial aspects of the Secret Doctrine. The clash with science, the talk of lost continents and ancient civilizations, the hidden knowledge supposedly preserved by secret societies. It's a lot to unpack.
Indeed. And I think it's important to approach these aspects with a critical and discerning mind. The Secret Doctrine is a complex and challenging text full of symbolism and allegory. It's not meant to be taken literally, but rather as a symbolic representation of deeper truths.
So we should be careful not to get lost in the weeds of specific details and interpretations. Instead, we should focus on the bigger picture, the underlying principles and insights that the Secret Doctrine is trying to convey. I think that's a good note to end on for this part of our deep dive. When we come back, let's delve into some of those more controversial aspects and see what insights we can glean. Okay, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Secret Doctrine. We've covered a lot of ground, from cyclical cosmology to ethereal root races and the mysteries of the astral light. Now it's time to tackle some of the more controversial aspects of this text.
Yes, the Secret Doctrine certainly doesn't shy away from challenging conventional thinking. It delves into topics that often spark debate and skepticism, like the clash with modern science, the idea of lost continents and ancient civilizations, and the notion of hidden knowledge passed down through secret societies.
Let's start with the clash with science. The Secret Doctrine was written in the late 19th century, a time of great scientific advancement. Yet it seems to contradict many of the prevailing scientific theories of the time and even today. How do we reconcile these seemingly opposing viewpoints?
It's important to remember that the Secret Doctrine is not trying to replace science or present itself as a scientific textbook. It's offering a different perspective on the nature of reality, one that draws on ancient wisdom and esoteric traditions. It's not necessarily about proving or disproving specific scientific theories, but rather about expanding our understanding of what's possible.
So it's not a case of either, but rather a both-hand situation. We can appreciate the insights of science while also acknowledging the validity of other ways of knowing.
Exactly. Science provides us with valuable tools for understanding the physical world, while esoteric traditions offer insights into the hidden dimensions of reality, the realms of consciousness and spirit. The Secret Doctrine suggests that these two perspectives are not mutually exclusive, but can complement and enrich each other.
That makes sense. Now, what about the talk of lost continents and ancient civilizations? Atlantis, Lemuria, these are often dismissed as myths or legends. Does the Secret Doctrine present any evidence to support these claims?
While the Secret Doctrine does refer to these lost continents and civilizations, it's important to approach these accounts with a discerning mind. They're often presented as symbolic representations of past cycles of human evolution rather than literal historical accounts. Think of them as archetypes representing the rise and fall of civilizations throughout time.
So instead of looking for physical remnants of Atlantis on the ocean floor, we should be looking for the Atlantis within the patterns of hubris and self-destruction that have repeated throughout history.
That's a very insightful way to put it. The lessons we can learn from these stories are more important than whether or not they happened exactly as described.
Speaking of lessons, let's talk about the concept of hidden knowledge in secret societies. The Secret Doctrine claims to be based on ancient wisdom revealed by hidden masters, and it hints at the existence of secret societies that have preserved this knowledge throughout the ages. This all sounds very cloak and dagger. Is there any truth to these claims?
Well, it's true that throughout history there have been groups and individuals who have claimed to possess secret knowledge or esoteric teachings. And there's no doubt that certain ideas and practices have been kept hidden or passed down through specific lineages. But it's important to approach these claims with caution. Not all secrets are worth knowing, and not all hidden knowledge is beneficial.
So it's a bit like Pandora's box. Some secrets are best left unopened.
That's a good analogy.
Right.
I think the most important thing is to develop our own discernment and intuition. Not everything we read or hear is true, and not every teacher or guru has our best interests at heart. It's up to each of us to sift through the information and decide what resonates with us.
That's a good reminder for all of us in this age of information overload. Be discerning. Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive into the Secret Doctrine, I'm curious to hear your final thoughts. What are the key takeaways you hope our listener will glean from this exploration?
I think the Secret Doctrine offers a unique and challenging perspective on the nature of reality, human evolution, and the hidden forces at play in the universe. It encourages us to question our assumptions, expand our awareness, and explore the deeper mysteries of existence. But it's not a book to be taken lightly or accepted blindly. It requires careful study, critical thinking, and a willingness to engage with its complex and often paradoxical ideas.
It's definitely not a passive read. It challenges you to think for yourself, to connect the dots, and to draw your own conclusions. For me, one of the most powerful aspects of the Secret Doctrine is the sense of interconnectedness it conveys. The idea that we're all part of this grand cosmic web, that our actions have far-reaching consequences, and that we're all on a journey of evolution, both individually and collectively. It's both humbling and inspiring, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a sense of responsibility, not just for our own lives, but for the future of humanity and the planet. If we take the teachings of the Secret Doctrine to heart, we can't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder at the vastness and mystery of the cosmos.
And maybe a little more motivated to live our lives with purpose and intention, knowing that we're all playing a part in this grand cosmic drama. Well, we certainly covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. I want to thank you for guiding us through the complexities of the Secret Doctrine. It's been an enlightening journey.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listener, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore these ideas further. The Secret Doctrine may be a challenging text, but it's full of profound insights that can enrich our understanding of ourselves, the world, and our place in the cosmos. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge, questioning everything, and remember, the truth is out there waiting to be discovered.